yet. Pasadena in the house. Down there in Texas, my Texas people, you know the brother who got shot, they arrested the race soldier who shot him, and the race soldier got like $1 million bail. So they arrested the white race soldier who shot the brother named Jonathan Price, who was, and I talked about him on my broadcast last night. This was a brother who was on the internet cooning it up. Let's be real. This brother was buck dancing, talking about how he's addicted to white women and the police ain't never did him wrong and all police ain't bad and all white folks ain't bad. And brother fucked around and got killed by a white race soldier. Family, y'all can't play games like that. What's up, Gooch? Shout out to my nigga Gooch. And they arrested the race soldier. What's interesting, you don't have the whole Blue Lives Matter crowd speaking out on this because, see, this contradicts their narrative. See, this is a bad look for the whole Blue Lives Matter crowd because, see, they depend on their coons. This is a very bad look for them. They're very quiet about this. They need their coons. And one of their coons who sat up here kissing their ass, he done got killed by a race soldier. So they can't do him like they do the other coons. Start bringing up his jail record and maybe if he just complied. No, because this nigga was kissing the police ass and still got killed. You know? So they're very quiet about that. And all you coons out there, that's a lesson for you to learn. That's a lesson for you to learn. Shout out to the black LGBT people. Shout out to y'all too. Y'all still our brothers as long as you're fighting white supremacy. Yeah, this was in Dallas, man. A brother, I think Wiley, Texas. Yeah, Wiley, Texas. I think that's like a suburb of, yeah. You're surprised he got arrested. Yeah, it was, the killing was so cold-blooded. I mean, yeah. They went on and arrested him. His GoFundMe is growing. Yeah, his family's about to cash out, but yeah, no. I ain't about to put the cape on. You know, that's unfortunate, but, you know, I'm glad the race soldier got arrested, but, you know, we'll let that thing play out like it's going to play out. Yeah? Yeah, I know Lee Merritt and those guys are already on it. Yep, they already own that shit. And speaking of life insurance, we're going to have some of the names and contact info of a lot of the black people who are licensed life insurance agents, because that's something that we're going to have to get on. I told people the strategy. Every black person needs to have some sort of life insurance because that is going to ring the alarm for insurance companies to say, hey, look, there's a lot of black people out here getting insured, so we can't have these race soldiers out here harming black people willy-nilly, and we keep making all these payouts. They are going to be forced to try to do something as far as policy. So we got to start moving like that. And we're going to have, dozens and dozens of people email me. There's a lot of brothers and sisters who are agents, who are insurance agents out here. A lot. So we got them all over the country. We're going to have a list of everybody. We got a new website. We're going to put that up. So y'all hold tight for that. So we're going to have to start doing things. See, this is the thing, guys. This is why we're going to have to start doing things on our own recognizance, because the system is not working for us. This is why voting is useless right now. Unless they have a specific black agenda, which they do not. They keep having these pretend agendas. They do not have specific black agendas, and this is why we're not rocking with them. And then, oh, I know Odemir. Yeah, A. Dunce is co-signing that janky ass fake reparations bill. That shit is so janky. It's janky as shit. And that's something that nobody should be co-signing. That is a janky bill. It's a janky law. and it's put together to undermine foundational Black Americans. And anybody connected to that shit should be ashamed. You know? Family, listen to me. When you stop depending on a system that is meant to not work for you, if the system ain't giving you nothing, you do not participate in that system. You deem that system illegitimate. This, family, is why I've been talking about those Maroons and some of those foundational Black American Maroon colonies. We have to understand, Black people, for centuries, we understood if we are participating in a system that's hell-bent on subjugating us, you can't participate in that system. This is why there were big Maroon colonies that they don't talk about, where Black people lived in these swamp Maroons for generations. I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 generations of people who were living in these swamp Maroons who didn't participate in the white supremacist system. And the white supremacists could not go into the interior of those swamps. So they said, look, we'll have our own community right in here, because the shit out there ain't working. We're better off in here. We form our own communities. We'll put up our houses over the waters, and we'll have our own community here. We're just not going to fuck with you. And they were fine with that. They were perfectly fine. They lived in freedom. They would fish, hunt, raise their children, build their homes, and the white supremacists could not go into the deep depths of those swamps like that. And yes, that book. And shout out to some of the people. They actually sent me a link to the PDF version of it. A couple of folks sent me, there was like one page that had a PDF link. The book was called Hidden Americans, written by Hugo P. Leeming. It's a white man who wrote this book. And they hit that shit. They buried the fuck out that book. See, when you got a white man telling the truth in this book, this white man, he went over to Virginia and started studying all the colonial records. I mean, he dug deep and started telling people, hey, all these goddamn Native Americans are really Black folks. Some of these people have been here before Columbus. All these people y'all calling Negroes, these are really, I mean, all these people y'all calling Native Americans, many of these folks are damn Negroes. A lot of these tribal chiefs were Negroes. The white man telling that. So they couldn't just play that off as, well, that's just a nigga. That's somebody being Afrocentric. That's that Black. But no, it's a white man telling you this shit. So when a white man is telling you something, they start burying those books. This is why for a long time it was hard to get books by the Black and Modern, Ancient and Modern Britons. That's the name of this book. Ancient and Modern Britons. Well, I can't think of the man's name right now. David McRitchie. That's it, David McRitchie. There we go. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to find, but yeah, McRitchie and Gerald Massey too. A lot of these white men in the 1800s. At that time in the 1800s, there was a lot of white men who were telling the truth. A lot of these white men were telling the truth. Not talking about no David Icke. No, this is way before David Icke. So I lost you at Swamp. No, let me tell you something, dude. Some of these folks, man, the Swamp. Look, you got to understand at this time, and the nation wasn't as developed as we know it now. So the average person was damn one step above living in a damn swamp. People were living damn near in the wilderness. People were living damn near like the Amish. See, you thinking in modern terms, like I couldn't live in no swamp. I can't play with my iPhone. No, nigga. No. Nigga, the swamp was just a step above, living in the wilderness back in those days. And let's be real, would you rather live on a plantation, getting your ass whooped every day, or would you rather live in a swamp? What's up, Jerry Lee? Shout out to cousin Jerry in the house. Would you rather live deep in a swamp where you know how to survive? Back then, Black people, remember, a lot of us were the Aboriginal people here, so we knew the lay of the land. That's why they knew how to go into that swamp and go. And you got to understand, the swamp had little islands in it. Some of those swamps, especially the Dismal Swamp, it had little islands in there where they could build houses over the water, so they were good. Yeah. So they knew how to do that shit, man. And they understood that white folks, you got to understand how the white supremacists think. The white supremacists, man, you got to understand how they think. They try to act big and bold. White supremacists are innately cowards. They got to have some type of very unfair advantage in order to get over on black people. Like our brother Malcolm X said, they can't really win guerrilla warfare because it takes hard to win guerrilla warfare. So how they would get black people back then, especially runaway slaves, you know, they would use their dogs. If they couldn't depend on their dogs and their horses, that was the machinery at the time. So they needed dogs and horses. So the dogs and horses could only go so far in those swamps. Thank you, Cat Gaga. Yeah, those dogs and horses could only go so far in the swamp. Yeah? They can only go so far. They can go to the borderlines and the edge of the swamps, but as far as going deep in there, them dogs can't go in there, them horses can't go in there. So that means that the white supremacists want to go try to catch somebody in the deep inside the swamp, they would have to go in there themselves. And that was a problem because you had some of them brothers who were hiding in trees. They would have scouts, and they start picking these damn white supremacists off. So they didn't want those problems. They go in that swamp and get ambushed by niggas. So they weren't fucking around in the deep swamp like that. They don't tell you that. Yeah? They do not tell you that part of the game. So that's where a lot of people went. A lot of people who are runaways, they actually went to the swamp. They don't tell you this because they want to tell you that it was the white abolitionists helping them. Niggas couldn't get away unless somebody white was helping them, and that is not true. You know? How can you read about the Moors? Yeah, that's another thing. Books about the Moors are very hard to find. It's very hard to find books on the Moors. One thing you need to do is get The Golden Age of the Moor, which is written, it's a compilation written by several scholars. Renoka Rashidi, I think John Henry Clark has a passage in it. Jose Pimenta Bay has a passage in that. I got that book, very good book. There's a few books that you go on Amazon you can find about the Moors. Yeah. Yeah, they did have families. Yes. They had generations. They had children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Whole families would live in these swamps, be born and raised in these swamps. But you got to understand, the Dismal Swamp was like 2,000 square miles, so that was pretty big.